Hi, everybody, and welcome to a little show about what GIMP can do. My name is Olaf S. Kylander, and I'm the author of the GIMP User's Manual. And I will try to show you what you can do with GIMP, some small things. And what I will show you today is some things that you can't do in any other image manipulation program that is affordable for humans, or that are that functions that are very special for GIMP. I will also show you some ordinary image manipulation tricks to make selections and image composition and so on. So I hope you will enjoy the show and have something with you back from this tutorial or workshop. And all of you, I want all of you to be GIMP addictives. So GIMP is the program to use if you're going to go web graphics, or if you're going to go home and Soho office image manipulation and it's not used for pre-press. That's a main minus point for GIMP, and whereas Photoshop is much better. But hopefully it will be better in forthcoming versions of GIMP, and I will try to explain all the pros of GIMP as long as we go along this little workshop. I'm terribly sorry, but the picture here is very bad. It's due to the beamer, and I can quite nicely see my picture here on the screen, but unfortunately it's sunny today, or light. It's light in here, and we don't see the screen, the picture as well. And I hope you can manage to see anyway. The first thing I will talk about is revision control. How many times do you think an artist sits and saves, and she saves her work once and once and once and once, okay? And then when she is in the middle of the work, oh Jesus, this is not good. I want to go back 5 or 10 or 15 steps to one save long way back and do it again. It's possible in GIMP. It's quite easy. You are all dependent on a plugin that is called XD in GIMP. That is a revision control plugin for the X delta function. And what you get is, when you save your image, the difference between each save is saved in a buffer or something like that in the file. And when you open the image or reload it from disk, you can see here that you get a list of different versions here. And I have selected the second version and pressed select, and up comes my second save of the file. And you can have 100 saves or 1,000, so whatever you want. But it's a very nice feature if you work with graphics and want to have the availability to go back and take a work since it's gone bad, or you want to have it as a base for another graphics that you will make. And this is revision control, and it's revision control made positive. It's not something that is hard to use, like maybe you have heard of CVS and free software development and all that kind of stuff, and it's command line, command line, command line. This is a nice graphic interface, and you get revision control by the second. And this is a feature that GIMP is more or less alone about. I don't know any graphics manipulation program that has it. Affordable for humans. Okay, we are here to talk about image and image manipulation and graphics production, and one of the keystones in image production or graphics production is image composition. And you often want to blend two images into each other in a nice way. And you can sit there and select and do all kind of stuff to make them float into each other. But the way to use it is to use layers. I hope everybody here knows what a layer is in an image. A layer is more like a transparent sheet that you have when you have done overhead projects, and you have transparent sheets, and you can place the transparent sheets over each other, and you can combine the layers in all different kinds of ways. And the way is to have one of the images in one layer and the other image in another layer, and try to combine them in different ways. And you combine them by using layer masks. And layer mask is a little, it's a selection tool, you can say. It makes, here you can see we have the boy in the upper layer, and we have the horses in the lower layer. And as you can see, there are some dark spots here. And the dark spots make the lower layer come up and be visible. So here we have a cubic view of the horses in the water, and the boy is coming, is visible also. And here is just another little way to do it. It's done with the original image. It's taken as a mask, and we have distorted it a little bit and made it noisy and painted in it little. And you see it smoothly goes. The head of the boy is growing out of the water, and it's a bit grainy. And I think it's quite lovely image. But when you want to blend image, do it with masks. It's the tool to use, and it's lovely to use. Okay, one of the cornerstones in image manipulation is to select. And all of you have probably been working in some kind of image manipulation program and been sitting there with a fuzzy selector or selecting pixel by pixel or something like that. It takes a lot of time. And the key is to have master selections. If you master selections and know how to do your selections, you will master image manipulation. And here you want to create a little nice image. And we begin by using select by color, but not just selecting by color. We have taken a very large fuzziness here in this selection, and fuzziness makes a selection smoothly tune out. It starts where the selection is and it smoothly tunes out. So it's if you fill the selection with something, the color that you fill with will smoothly transform, disappear on the edges of the selections. And we didn't do that here. We used a little effect. It's called bump mapping, and bump mapping is more or less making it a bit 3D styled. And the boy, we have bump mapped the boy, and as you see, hopefully see. The upper one is the selection, and here you see the image that we get when we do the selection by color, and it's quite fuzzy. And here we have applied the bump map, and the boy's face has turned a little bit porcelain or something like that. It has been changed in a way, and there is some depth in the eyes and depth in the lips of the boy. Now, okay, we wanted to do something with the background, so we did it in the reverse, more or less. And we added a bit of bump mapping and texture to the background. So now the boy is a bit different than from the beginning. And we wanted to have some glory around the boy, so we did a color selection of the hat. And in the selected area, we ran an edge detect, and the edge detect will highlight the edges. So the edges here are glowing a little bit like a Gloria. And what we will now do is to turn this into a duotone. And a duotone is an image that is composed of two colors, and it can be gray or yellow or red or whatever you want. And best of all, you can print it. It's quite easy, and GIMP supports this very well. So you can go to a print shop and print your duotone, because you just make gray plates. You will see it in a minute. Here is the duotone, and it's a duotone in yellow and black. And we have filled it. And as you see here is the two channels. There is the yellow channel up there, and there is the black channel down there, and they are grayscale images. So all you do is you take those channel images to your print shop and say, I want to have this image as the yellow, and this image should be the black, and they print it. I've been maybe a little bit fussy about the explanation. you say to him, I want that image to be the black plate, and the upper image I want to have to the yellow plate, and you choose the color of from a Pantone map or something like that, and you print it, and it will come out like that up there. The upper image is just for so you can have an idea of the outcome. It's not the exact print, but it's idea, and you have the map with the Pantone colors. Pantone colors are a widely known ink factory that makes inks. You have probably heard of them. So to say that it's a lot of license and such stuff, and GIMP probably can't support it without a bit fussy. And we have used the duotone in a little creation of a booklet here. I hope there isn't anybody speaking Chinese or some Eastern Asian language, because I don't know what the signs means. They're just taken from the Xfont server. I think it's quite lovely output, and I must say it's not me that have done these images, it's my wife, who is the co-author of the manual. And she couldn't be here today. It was meant to be, but we have a little daughter who's 6 months old, and we couldn't arrange with babysitting, so I had to go myself. And she had probably been describing this a bit better than me, because I'm a technician and not a graphic artist. Anyway, I will go on and talk about graphics anyway in the best way I can. And here I will talk about another creation, and that's highlight and shadows and bending things along a curve. Or here we have bent text along a curve, and we have highlighted it, and we have made it 3D and a little bit like that. We will see how we have done this. It's not as hard as you can think. First of all, we have used the GIMP text plugin to GIMP. It makes, if somebody has used GIMP's ordinary text tool, you'll find it a bit limited, because you can only add one line text, and you can't edit the text after you have rendered it into the image, because the tool doesn't remember what you typed. But in dynamic text, that this plugin is called, in a more human word, you can type in the text, and the text will be rendered into GIMP. And if you say, oh shit, I was a spell error here, I can go back into the layer and invoke the filter again, and whoops, up it comes, and you can change the text, and you can reapply it, and the text will be corrected. And you can have multi-line text also. It's just press enter and you will get a new line. And you can control rotation here, you can control color and all sorts of things. It's quite nice tool to have. The basic text tool in GIMP is pretty useless when you have get used to this one. Okay, we have now written the woodland text, and we want to bend it. And bend it we do in a plugin that is called Curve Bend, and it's a nice little plugin that lets you manipulate anything from selections to layers to whole images or whatever you want in GIMP, and bend it along the curve. As you can see, the upper curve and the lower curves controls how the bending is done, and if you see here, you can see that they have stretched apart the curves in the left end here, and they are coming together in the right end, and this makes the image or the text looks like it's coming waving here, and it's going away from you in the right end. It's quite easy to use this, and you can, the best of all, you can save your curves and reapply them to another part of your image or other text. If you want to have several text lines and you want to reapply them and have the same bending, you can do it easily, because you can save the curve. And naturally, as in every GIMP plugin that I have come across, it's the big difference between Photoshop and GIMP plugins is when you open a Photoshop plugin, you have quite limited way to do things there. I'm not saying that the Photoshop plugin does the job bad, because it does the job very, very good all the time. It does what you want and it does it quick, and you don't have to think that much. But when you use a GIMP plugin, most of the time you have to think a lot and know what you want to do, because it's so much more parameters most of the time that you can use. And here is a, well, not maybe the best parameter plugin, but there are several that are so filled with parameters and functions that you can adjust, that you can explore the plugin in maybe a day or 2 or 3, and you have still not explored every possibility in the plugin. A plugin can be a filter, and a plugin can be a thing that can save things in GIMP. So the key is to use GIMP plugins. They are free, they are downloadable for free, and not as pricey as Photoshop equivalent. And naturally GIMP is also free, it's a GNU program, but GIMP plugins are really great most of the time. Anyway, we have now bended the codes, and out comes the bended text of the woodlands. Now we want to make this text a little bit 3D, so we want to bump map it. But if we bump map the upper text that is sharp, the bump map will not look good. It will be unrealistic, so we have to add a little bit of fuzziness to it and then bump map it, and it will be much better, as you can see in the next image here. The woodlands are now quite 3D, but there is no wood structure, and there is a lot of else things to do here. So we want to highlight first, and we want to highlights, and we want to make the shadows a bit more visible. And we do that by making a dark image will make the highlights glow. And as you see in the dark image here, there are small parts which are white, and that will be the highlights. And the rest, the black, will not be visible. It will not affect the image that we're gonna highlight. And in the lower image, you see there are some black parts, and that will, so to say, make the shadows more visible. And what you work with here is that you have one layer, you have 3 layers here. You have the bump map layer, and you have the highlight layer, and you have the shadow layer. And the shadow layer, the bump map layer is in the bottom, and the 2 other layers are on top. And you put the layers in different modes. And you to make the highlights, you put it in screen mode, and to make the shadows, you put it in multiply mode, which is burn, which makes things dark, and screen makes things light. And what is that we want to make light? It's the light parts in the dark image, and it's what we want to do. What do we want to make dark? And it's the dark image in the light image. So you will see it in the next, and you will probably understand it. As you can see here in the woodlands, the upper part where the white was is highlighted, and there is a bit more shadow in where the dark part was in the light image. And now we want to cut, we have applied a pattern here over it. It's quite easy, but we want to cut it out. So we want to have a mask that cut away the wood structure. And we have saved the thing that was the output of the curve band, and we have inverted it. And the white will not affect the image, but the black will. It will erase what's around, and we want to erase the wood structure that is surrounding the characters. So it will cut out the wood for us. And what you see in the bottom is also a layer. This layer will make the left part of the woodlands a bit dark, and the right parts of the woodlands will be lightened. So the text will go from dark to lighter. And you will see it here in the next image, the outcome of it. As you see here, the text is a bit darker here, and it's a bit lighter in the end. And what you see behind the woodlands is a forest, isn't it? And that forest is made in GIMP, solely in GIMP. There is no 3D, and there is no scanning, and there is no nothing. It's just GIMP, and it's a plugin called EFS Compose. And this plugin is more or less the most amazing thing I have ever come across. You can make every organic shape in this plugin, from watercolor to trees, or from Jurassic animals to worms, or whatever you want. That's based because everything in this is based on fractals, and you can tune the fractals to make patterns, make structures for you. And the fractals, you can apply color to the fractals. So how do we do the trees in the forest behind the text? I will try to show you that. I'm not a master of this tool. My wife is. She's really marvelous when she works with it. When you bring up the EFS Compose for the first time, you will just have a triangle. Here is a preview of the outcome on the right, and on the left is the working area. And the triangles is the thing that you will bend around and adjust and add more triangles and so on, and you will get a shape. And she have turned them. This is my wife's work, so she have turned them around a little bit, and it starts to look different. And now she had added another triangle, which makes it appear, will make more fractals in the middle. And now she turns it around, and it looks like nothing. But when she do the next move, it will start to look something. She stretches the middle triangle to make the trunk of the tree. And it looks not so good at this stage of the work, but we will proceed anyway. And now she have put it back together and also scaled the other parts. So now it looks like some kind of salad that I don't eat. But it looks like broccoli, doesn't it? And broccoli is a bit like trees. So if we are a bit more work, maybe we're gonna get a tree. And now she adds yet another triangle that is forming the part where the trunk goes up and creates the leaves in the tree. The bounding of tree, I don't know the English word for it. And now she has stretched out it, and this looks like a tree, doesn't it? But it's black at the moment. But the thing with this plugin is that you can apply colors to each of those triangles. And the color will affect the other triangle. So whatever you do in this plugin will affect another triangle, and it will so to say work in the whole image. So here we have applied a little bit of green in the highlighted triangle that is a bit more black. And as you see, the whole left part of the tree is now greener. And if you start to add a little different types of green into the leaves of the tree, you will get quite nice green look of the leaves. And naturally the trunk will get brown. And here is the final outcome. Here. It looks like a tree. Okay, this was a bit of manipulation, but it's quite nicely described in the GIMP user manual that are downloadable for free, and you can buy it in German also. It's on manual.gimp.org, and there is a wonderful description how to do it, and you can try it out. So we just did a lot of trees here to create this forest. And if you want to do something nice here, you can add a little in this is the bottom layer, and we can have a layer on top, and that layer on top is a gray gradient that goes from gray in the bottom to white in the top. And here's looks like a bit of sunny morning, or it's just morning and it's a bit moisture in the air and the sun comes in. But if we change the layer mode affects how the layer works when they're bound together, when they are viewed together. If we change the layer mode of the upper layer, that was the gradient, we hereby create a sunshiny morning. It's the same gradient, but it's a different mode, and this is a light and only layer that we have put in the upper gradient in. And if we want to go further, we want it's not nice with sun, it's too hot, we want it to be a bit more rainy, or it just have been raining or something like that. It's not looking that, it's a bit light here, but you'll see that it's a bit more foggy, and that's we have done in a multiply mode that burns, it makes things darker, and here's again darker in the bottom and less darker in the top, and you see it's more moisture in the air. And we have added yet further another layer that it's just a rain pattern from GIMP, but it's clearly raining here. So just adding a layer and put it in the right mode, and you will get quite astonishing effects. The new GIMP is support X input, and X input is what can make it able for you to draw on a tablet, and I hope you all know what a tablet is. A tablet is a thing you can draw with pressure-sensitive pens and such things. I have a tablet up here, you can look at it. And instead of drawing with a mouse, which feels like drawing with a baseball glove and both hands behind your back, and put a baseball glove in your mouth and try to paint around with it. Anyway, it's not working to paint with a mouse. You can paint with a pen, and a pen is what you normally paint with, if you have painted before. And we will try to sketch out this image from, we have taken this as a ground to sketch along, and we will sketch this image and put the lady, which happens to be my wife's mother, in a retro style 60 ad taken in New York, but the picture is from London. So we'll start with a sketch, and we use a special tool from the new GIMP. And GIMP, this is a feature that is only available in the developer version of GIMP, and that's the ink tool. And the ink tool is really nice to work with. It feels like drawing with a $700 ink pen, and it's so smooth, and it's sensitive to speed. When you speed up, the line will get thinner, and when you speed down, the line will get bigger, and when you tilt the pen, the line will get different. So it's just like drawing with a natural ink pen. It's lovely. Even I am not an artist, thinks it's really nice to work with. And here she has sketched the outline of her mother with an ink pen. It's just easy. You put the image on the tablet and sketch along. Just under the plastic or on the table, and you sketch here, and you can get this, or you can have it on the screen and sketch along the screen, follow the screen with your pen. But it's very easy to just put a picture on your tablet and trace it along, and you will look like a real nice artist, even if you can't. Now we have to fill this lady with some skin tones, and we are just filled it with a fill tool. We have painted with behind mode, and with behind mode is a quite nice feature in GIMP, that you paint behind the black outer structure, even if you paint over it, so sort of say, but all the color ends up behind. And we have painted with a natural skin tone here behind the black lines. So you only see, you can see here, you can see down here that it goes, when you paint, it goes up here and the color is not visible behind the black line. And as I said, when you use the ink pen, the lines will be quite hard, but now we want to have something that is smooth. We want to have smooth shadows and smooth color transition in the face of her mother. And as you can see, you can take a fuzzy pen, and when you draw with a pressure sensitive pen, the opacity will change. And in the left here we have a little harder pen, and we have a more sketchy like drawing of the arm than of the face. The GIMP is naturally always developed. The development version is under development, and so to say there are new features added all the time, and my friend Sven has just added a feature for brush scaling and gradient painting. If you press right, the color is taken from a gradient, and the gradient has some length, and the harder you press let's put this right. If you have a gradient and the gradient goes from, say, blue to red in one end and blue in one end. If you press hard, you will get red, and if you press light, you will get blue. So you can change the color as you press the pen. For example, it's a quite cool feature, but I don't know the use of it, but it's nice to know that there are a lot of upcoming President X input support in the new upcoming GIMP, so everyone with a tablet is lucky when they get hold on a new version when it's stable. Anyway, we want to proceed here, and this is a bit earlier. We have filled the dress of her mother with a pattern, and we have painted a little handbag with a brown color with pressure sensor. No, it's a pattern also, so pattern is quite useful. And what we will do here is to have the background, and the background is first of all an ordinary picture, and then we sketch quite fast along. This image is the original, and then we sketch something that is more or less looking like it, okay? And then we have the original image behind. And we put it into screen mode, I think it is, and the white parts in the image behind will light up in the upper layer. So you see the note up in the window of the van is not visible in the first sketch, but in the last one it is. And that's no work to do that, it's just putting the layer into another mode. And the note will be visible. And this makes a rough sketch look really good, and it's fast. You don't have to work that much, but you will get a nice sketch anyway. This is easy to do with also with the mouse. Just sketch along, and you can sketch quite quick, and then put the layer into screen mode, I think it is. It's described also in the GIMP user manual in the first GIMP round chapter, how to do this. And here's the final outcome of the image. It looks quite nice, I think. Okay, I'm a technician, so I must talk about technical stuff, and GIMP is made by a lot of technicians, so naturally there are added a lot of tech stuff into GIMP, but most of it are quite useful, and a feature that is called Horspec X, I call it in Sweden anyway. I don't know the English pronunciation, and the guy is Italian, so I don't know if there is a proper pronunciation of this word. It's is the GIMP database. You integrate GIMP with a database. And imagine you can sit and fetch images directly from a database into GIMP, and you can save images from GIMP into database, okay? What use do I have for this as an artist? You have one big use of this. How many times have you been looking around for an image that you made 4 or 5 months ago? And you look around quite a long time before you find it. And you end up saying, oh, I didn't find it, and I have to go to a special program that is loading a lot of thumbnail images, and you have to sit there and look for it, and it takes a lot of time. Instead, you have typed in some keywords, or you can search for it by color or whatever. I will show you here. First of all, when you bring up hackerspaces for the first time, you have to create a database, and this is the create database window, and it's quite easy to manage. It's nothing hard, even everyone can do it. You just enter the database name and what table to use and the username of you. In this case is Olaf, or I'm Olaf. And we have called the database hackerspaces, and the table name is CCC for Chaos Computer Camp, and the list is number 1. It's just names that I've chosen, the first and the second, and it's done with when you initialize the database for the first time. That is done in a console mode. Sorry to say there is no GUI to make the first initialization of the database, but it's just one command. Anyway, then you have a lot of parameters that you can use in your database, and depending on your needs, you want to be able to query for different things. And here's a big list that you can query for. You can build a database that can be searchable by a number of parameters. And what you do is that you have parameters here, and you drag them to the flow, it's called. And the flow is which parameters that will be available for searching in your new database that you create. And I have drawn some features that can query the database for all kind of color values and color variations in the image. And what can be good for that? Because if you have an image that is similar to the one you search, you have an image of, for say, a red car with standing in front of some trees, and then you want to see if you have similar structure of image that has images in your database that has similar structure than the image that you have loaded. And you can then query the database for images that are kind of the same type that the image you have. And naturally you can construct database that can query your image for width, height, revision number, keywords, file name, the comments or last save, or some text, or if it has layers or color type or whatever, histogram. And there's a lot to choose from, and this is a little bit of trying and see what's good for you in the beginning, and build up a database of maybe 20 or 30 images and see what's your query would be nice to have, what you want to have to query with. And then you just drag the right value, the right types over to the flow and press create, and the database is created. And now you can start to use it, and it's very easy. You opened one or several images in GIMP, and then you open hackerspaces X, which is accessible from one of the GIMP menus, the extension menu. And then you press insert, and all the open images that you have opened in GIMP will pop up here. And you just have to select one by pressing on it and say insert, or you can press several. And up will come, I have created here a database that you can search for subject and keywords, and the subject here is food. And no, the database I have created here is a database where you can put in subject and keywords, and also width, height, and some other things. But anyway, you type in food here and keywords, so it's a lobster. So then you can, next time you search your database, you can search for food, and will you get up all your food, or you can search for just lobster and you will get lobster, or you can search for both and you can search if this lobster images has layer and so on. It's quite easy. Just imagine the possibilities. And here is where I build up what I will query for. And hackerspaces X feels what the database can search for, or what can be searched for in the database, and that you will end up to have in the middle. And you drag what you will search for into the flow, and you can set the subject. Here I've set subject to book, and the keyword will be boy in this case, and I will run a query for this to select all images that have a subject of book and a keyword of boy. And up that will pop. And when they have popped up, you can load them directly into GIMP and start edit. And that's the really nice thing, because imagine that you're working on an advertisement firm or a web firm or web bureau or what it's called. And you're sitting and do web graphics, a whole bunch of people. And you have bought a big, nice image, photo stock images on CD-ROM. And you download, first of all, you download it with some script, because you have probably some technician that can make a script. Download it into the database and sort it by keywords and color and all that kind of stuff. And when you sit then and do your web graphics within GIMP, because GIMP is the natural tool to do web graphics in, and you can then just query a database for some word, and up the right image comes, and you open it in GIMP and start your work. You don't have to go to external program and search the database. The database search is searched from within GIMP, and you do the editing of the image directly. This is quite nice. And you don't have to be on the same machine, because this is naturally can go over network, or the image database can be on one side of the earth and you can be on another, and you can still fetch the image and edit it. And when you have edited the image, you can have naturally load it back to the database with some keyword that you have edited it, and and the new name of the image and whatever you want to do. And that's a good thing. Just imagine if you can connect this together with newspaper or manufacturing, that where the people that do the imaging is working first, fetch the image from the image database and then bring it up, edit it, and set some special keywords for where in the paper it should be, and then the paper layout program automatically fetch the image and places in the right place. And you just have put a low resolution in the real image, in the real paper. So it's quite nice to have this feature. Oops, I took two here. I wanted to show you how it looks when you search for an image that has the same ASVU saturation value. That you search for image by use saturation and value, and then you load an image that you have opened in GIMP. This is the image. You will want to search for image that is similar structured in color in the ASV color space as this lobster image, and up all that images will come. And it's quite nice that you have the pix map here, so you know what images you have will query the database with. And when you get a result, it looks like this. Here is a result when I searched for book and boy, and up came two images in this case, and I can choose the XF file, which is native GIMP file format, or I can choose the TIFF format, which is more generic. And I just select the image and press load, and up it will pop in GIMP. and you can start edit or whatever you want. It's very nice. That was what I had to present today, but naturally we are here for free for questions, and you can ask questions in both English and German, and we will try, if you ask it in German, we will translate it into English so the English people can understand, and we'll try to answer it as best as we can. And as you maybe know, there is a GIMP hacking tent in the Art and Beauty tent. GIMP section actually in the GIMP, the Art and Beauty tent, and we are 4 guys here. It's me, and it's Michael or Mitch and Sven and Simon, which are developer here of GIMP, and we are ready to answer questions about GIMP usage and GIMP future and whatever you want. So you can start asking now. Thanks for your time at the meantime.
So you're now invited to ask questions about whatever you like, about the GIMP development, about features you saw. Don't be shy. Sorry, I didn't get it.
You have to speak up. Yeah, okay, I can answer the question.
I'm not quite sure about how this is, will be supported in plugins, because I'm mainly programming the GIMP core.
Maybe we could first answer the question what he was asking about. It's so that the first version of GIMP that is now the stable version that you all have in your Linux distributions and so on, it's not multitasking, and it can't thread. And what threading is about is that it divides execution of the program into several threads, so it can go quicker if you have several processors or you have a fast processor with several pipelines in. And the new GIMP supports threading and multiprocessors, and he just asked question how to configure that and how to use it in plugins, because he wanted to write some plugins, I suppose.
You also wanted to know which part of GIMP already uses multi-threading. It's basically the final layer composition system, where you and the iteration over areas of pixels which can be multi-threaded and which are currently multi-threaded. Yeah.
I think plugins are developed by one author, and you also can decide to do multi-threading like everybody wants to do it. Like you can do any multi-threading you want in a plugin. We could provide a possibility to get the information out of the preferences dialog to the plugins, so you can know how many processors there are. But as far as I know, there are no plans to add further multiprocessing to the core.
The image compositing layer of GIMP is one of the parts which uses most of the CPU time, because if you have 100 layers or something and all are more or less transparent or have some layer modes set, it takes some time to combine them to the final projection of the image, and this part of
Is there a plugin for GIMP to make it easier to create web pages with clickable images?
Yes, there are. It's called image map, and you just first you make your clickable, the image that is supposed to be clickable. You make it in GIMP, then you load it into your image map plugin and create areas that you want to have be clickable, and fill in some dialogues that what should happen when they click on that area and so on, and then you press generate or something like that. It's described in the new second edition of the manual that is soon to be downloadable or you can buy. And the thing is that you then cut in the text in your HTML page and it's ready to go. So it's quite easy. It's well described in the manual also, and you can just go to register.gimp.org to fetch the newest version.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
What about
Of what? Yeah, that's very well supported, I think, in GIMP.
About I don't know,
Maybe 50 formats or something.
50 formats supported.
You can even load the MPEG file into GIMP and start edit it and save it again.
A
What?
movie file. A
Yeah,
movie file.
MPEG movie file and edit it and then save it again. Maybe you want to remove every second layer or every second frame or whatever you want, or you want to convert the MPEG to a GIF animation, or you can do pretty much whatever you want, or a rough animation studio in GIMP that you can do very, very advanced animations in. The thing is that user interface is not the world's friendliest, but I suppose someone will work on that. But it's very, very powerful, the image manipulation functions for animations in GIMP.
Will you add some more vector-based features to GIMP? So there's not everything you do with bitmap. It's easier for some things that you can do with vector graphics.
I think basically the GIMP is of course a bitmap manipulation program, and I'm not sure about how much you should insert from a huge program like Corridor. Personally, I think it would be better to have separate tools for those different types of graphics. But there are some elements for vector graphics. In the developer version, there is a management for paths, and you can store the paths and stroke them or convert them to selections or fill them. And well,
Yeah, and there are also well to know is that
GFig, I forgot GFig.
GFig is a plugin that makes vector drawings possible in GIMP, but it's quite limited for more advanced vector drawing. But anything that you want to draw circles and spirals or whatever it is, you can do it in GFig. And the type of vector graphics that you use on a website, for example, is well, you can do that in GFig. It's no problem. But there are also development of 3 or 4 vector drawing programs, and I know that at least 2 of them, the GIMP and the Sketch vector drawing program that is under development, will have various paths to GIMP which makes it possible to import-export vector graphics into GIMP and do bitmap manipulation with the vector graphics and load it back to the program again.
Is there any feature to do with CMYK separation?
Not at the moment. It's a very big project. First of all, you have not just SMIK support, because when you do it, you can also add hexachrome or octachrome or whatever, how many channels you want in the GIMP. It's idiotic to just add one more channel, because you can add more. And then you have the problem with if you want to go into prepress, which I suppose you want to do if you want SMIK support, then you have a problem with color correction, and that's a very large project to tackle, and there are also patents and licenses and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of hard. I don't know if any of Sven and Michael or Simon have been looking into it, but I have a little, and it's very hard to do, I can tell you. It's
Actually,
yeah.
I don't know if somebody is really working on it, because it's all internal data structures in GIMP are
RGB.
RGB, with 8-bit RGB, which means you have 1 byte for each color channel and 1 byte for the alpha channel. And many parts of the GIMP code make implicit assumptions about that. So there's no more or less generic tag buffer has to indicate what kind of data is in it. So the whole GIMP relies that it's all RGB, so you have to change almost every function which modifies the image to achieve proper RGB support and to achieve proper support for other color spaces. And if we do this, we would probably like to add support for higher image resolutions too, color resolutions.
There is a project.
There is a project doing this, and they have a better buffer and image handling system, which could be extended to do other color systems too. But with the current state, without this deep image GIMP version merged, it might be a bit hard.
It will be a later question. It's not will not be in this stable in the next version that it will be stable, and it will be in GIMP 2.0 or something like that.
3.0.
It's a big project anyway.
N.0.
And plus 1.
Can you tell when the next stable version will come out?
No, naturally not.
Well, we can say that there are currently discussions about a feature freeze in some days. Well, we hope we can bring in our latest changes we did here at the camp, and hopefully, but don't count on this, hopefully the next stable version 1.2 will appear at the end of the year or so.
But there's nothing that's promised. Don't tell this to other people.
A good guess is that it will be delayed a little bit, I suppose. You can never tell by those projects.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Is it possible to use GIMP or some features of GIMP from the command line to generate graphics from scripts?
Yeah, there is first the first scripting extensions to GIMP was script-foo, and I personally like it, but it's quite limited. And Mark Lehmann did a huge job to create a Perl interface, which I don't like Perl, so I didn't try it yet. And you can use other languages too. There are Python interfaces and what else? Of course, C directly.
TCL interface.
TCL. There are some cool features in the Perl version that you can do it with a network, or you can have one GIMP running and process the image and fetch it again, and all sorts of things. But
the Perl interface does some real cool abstractions. So if you have a more generic access to the GIMP data structures from Perl than from Scheme or C maybe, does some internal recalculations and automatic stuff you would have to do by hand otherwise.
You have to X must be running, or
Yeah. There is no GIMP without X. This is a problem.
There's no GTK without X, and we need GTK for the internal object system too.
yeah, but you can have there are systems you can run a XVNC server on yours.
Yeah.
And then you don't need X that it will not eat that much power.
You can run a virtual X.
Yeah.
Virtual frame buffer device. Virtual frame buffer.
A virtual frame buffer device
XV
that you can
and
start on any machine. It doesn't even need to have a graphics card.
But I think you should not rely on GIMP for that kind of job. GIMP is interactive tool. It's my personal thing. I don't think GIMP is fit for batch processing 10,000 images.
It should be.
First of all, there are patent that you have to work around. That's the first thing.
Well,
The second thing is that it's not that easy that it may seem to be.
It's not easy at all.
It has to do with the color range that you have and how you compress and decompress color ranges. And there is no nice way to do that in the current system of ICC, which is today the today common way to do color calibration. So you have to do that by your own to expand and to compress the color gamut area, and that's not easy. It's very hard to do that fast, first of all.
I think I could do very interesting effects with tablet pen, like a digital pen or.
Yeah, we can show you, naturally. Yeah, the thing was that the screen was so bad to view, so I kind of was hard to present for you, but I will naturally go on. I have prepared a session here, and I can sketch a little bit. What I have here is that I have 2 pens. The first one is a standard Vacom pen, and probably so that Vacom tablets are the best supported ones within GIMP, but you can actually have others. There are support for them in X, which is the X driver of to do X input support, but we have Vacom here and it's working quite well. The second pen is a stroke pen which has a longer stroke, so you have more precision in when you draw with it, and I can show you. Here I use the ink tool, and as you see, when I go into the buffer here, the device status up in the corner here is changing. See now when I take the mouse and go in, it's core pointer, and now it's my stroke pen, which I have here, and is assigned to the ink. So I can have several pens here, and as I switch pens, the tool will also switch, or the color or whatever I have assigned to my pen. And now I can start sketching here, and I can show you that I can draw really thin lines here, and I can do pressure and get a very thick one and go down here, and if I tilt the pen, it will, as you see, fill up like this. So I can do real nice color graphics like this, or something like that. Some Chinese tech signs here. Well, I don't know, but it looks nice. I can actually sketch, for example, an eye here with a nose, and then I can take my other pen, which I have mapped to the brush, and it's as you see in the brush selection dialog here, it's a quite fuzzy brush, and if I paint light here, I can put a little bit of shadow down the eye here, and it should be a little bit darker here. I'm kind of tired, this person. It's quite nice to draw with, and I can want to have a shadow down here under the eye. What's the name for it? Eyebrow. And if I press hard here, I will get a thick line. But it's very easy to sketch with. It's just sketching, and you will get nice effects like some figure here. Yeah.
Show them how to use the eraser with your.
Yeah. Naturally, you have an eraser on all the pens. Real pens, you have an eraser on the back, don't you? And when you go in where you have a assigned eraser, naturally to eraser in GIMP. And I start to erase, and then I tilt my pen around, and I can start pencil like this. It's really nice. Yeah.
Is it possible to change mouse pointer? Mouse pointer looks like a left-handed pointer, and I have problems with small lines. It would be better at the mouse pointer of the right-handed.
We discussed this yesterday.
You've got the source?
Well, I think it's
just
really
change
no
the
problem.
pix
I think maybe it's really a good idea to change it to Fadenkreuz or something.
Crosshair.
Crosshair cursor. It should be no problem at all.
Should be trivial, and probably will do it. Let's see. Or you can send us a patch. included then.
That's the nice thing, since it's open source. You can, when you get curious, you can start hack it.
Will you expand the features of painting stuff, like more pens, more different kinds, like retro painter, for example?
What's rectal painter? I don't know.
I don't follow your question.
What support for natural brushes?
Yeah. Practical brushes, you mean?
Natural brushes.
Natural brushes, you like fractal design painter, you mean? Yeah. I've been looking into that. And there are a patent there also, naturally, in the States. The problem is not here in Europe. You can code it, and there are implementation of the code that you can take to GIMP and start to hack it. But when you can't include them and distribute them in the US because there are patents that are covering that. So I don't know about it. It's first of all, it's quite difficult to implement. It's not easy, and then you have the patent. But I have looked into it, and should be doable, but it's very hard.
Well, what I think what could be done, but seems like a lot of work, is to add some default paper structure on the image, and try to find a good idea to to add the current brush on the paper, and well, would be a cool feature, but I don't know of somebody who implemented on this yet.
I can see. We can.
That's a real good idea, I think. And
Yeah, but you can translate it to English so we can understand the rest of us.
No, could you ask the question again, please?
Well, it's not. I don't think this is practical for a real plugin as the current plugin system. But GIMP has extended by a module system, so you can load modules to the GIMP to add new features. And it would be a great idea to extend the module interface to get access to the coordinates from the mouse cursor, so you can implement module tools. But this is definitely nothing for 1.2, and it's may be a problem internally because you have to organize these, you have to add buttons to the toolbar, and well, it needs work.
It's undoable with the plugin structure we have now. It's just too slow. You can't do that over the wire, and GIMP uses now to talk to the plugins.
You can see here, I bring up the color selection dialog in GIMP here, the new development version. As you see, there are several types of way to choose your color. This one is really nice, I think. You can drag it around here, and you can go in here and pick your color. It's really nice. Or you can take the Git K, or you can take the watercolor. That's similar as watercolors. Anyway, this is done with the modules. So this is one of the usage for modules, I mean.
We have currently an interface for module color selectors, and maybe we'll add an interface for module tools. I think this should be possible. It's definitely on the to-do for something beyond 1.2, and would be a great idea, I think. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's on the to-do list for the
idea is not new. It's been around for a long time. But the idea is not new to have pluggable tools and all that stuff. But nobody has yet started to code it.
questions?
Seems everybody
Everybody
completely
happy?
delighted and GIMP addicted, as Olaf said. Or
Noch ein paar Fragen auf Deutsch, wenn sich jemand nicht auf Englisch zu fragen traut. No, okay. Then thanks for your attention. Oh, yeah.
What's the easiest way to paint this track?
Oh, it's easy.
There are several ways, but the most easy is to just take a selection and do. Sorry. It's quite hard to do this with a pen. Stroke.
No, you have a floating selection at the moment.
Yeah, I have. Sorry, I moved it.
Always have the layers there.
Sorry, I will do the select again. It was me using the pen for selection.
This is what I meant. Use some basic vector objects.
yeah, but
Paint very easily things like circle.
Yeah, but
what is basic? So where do you want to stop? I mean, I'd like the idea of a powerful program which does both. There is no such program at the moment, nowhere.
the thing is that you use a vector drawing program for vector drawing, and you use a bitmap program for bitmap
I
program.
don't want to draw a vector. We'll draw a vector and this will render it at the moment to bitmap. So I have my circle.
Yes, I mean a line drawing or a geometrical shape drawing tool
Right.
that's implementable, and
GIMP
it's-
is much more powerful.
it's on the to-do as well but probably not for 1.2 because the feature freeze is in about 1 week, and
There's a stroke.
yeah.
Was me fiddling around. I'm not used to this.
You're
Yeah.
using the wrong brush.
Yeah, I'm using the wrong brush also.
So at the moment you have to create a selection and can stroke along the outline of the selection.
That's how GIFig is working. GIFig makes a lot of selections and strokes along the selections.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know.
Just look when it's working. The selection comes and then it strokes and and you have it's quite easy. That's how GIFig is working. The plugin to GIMP to make vector drawing. So you have that functionality for basic vector drawing, and I personally I don't think you should take an NFR with GIMP because you do vector drawing in a vector drawing program.
But you can show them to draw a straight line.
What?
But you can show them how to draw a straight line. That's at least this is possible. You just press Shift with any paint tool and you get a straight line from your last spot to the current one.
Yeah.
Yeah, still looking at.
Probably not with that notebook mouse, right?
No, it's not that funny to do it.
But it works with the pen as well.
All of you still have a selection.
Yeah.
No, there's still a selection active.
Yeah.
Control.
Shift control.
Okay.
So.
Well, this is a feature of the graphics tablet. He pressed hard at the first point and light on the other end, so this will get interpolated.
I can't help that I hate
Shortcuts.
shortcuts, and I hate
Almost. The problem is that all these little nice features are hiding behind one big right mouse button menu. So when you pop up the GIMP, you will see nothing but the toolbox. And if you're lucky, you get up this canvas. And in the canvas, you have to pride the rest mouse button, and then the wonderful world of GIMP power opens, but not before.
That's why we have this. Don't forget right mouse.
Yeah, this is a reminder. This is a reminder on the splash screen as the very first tip on startup. Yes, you have to press modifiers and it goes horizontal, vertical, or in an angle of 45 degrees.
We should always try to use modifiers. Like all tools use all modifiers nowadays. And the cursor should show you what you're doing.
The cursor is also, for example, if you want to add to a selection, the cursor, when you press the modifier key, the cursor will turn into a little arrow with a plus sign. So then you have an indication that you have pressed the right modifier key.
Yeah. Seems there. Are there any more questions to run down? No, that the right mouse button, if pressed in the canvas, is only for the menu.
No.
The left one is the action button for the tool. Naturally, you paint with the left mouse button, and the middle button is to scroll around the canvas. If your display, your window is smaller than your image, you just click and drag the image with the middle mouse button and can pan it around.
There's one situation where you want to use two mouse buttons at once. That is, you start to do a drag move or something, and you want to cancel that action without actually doing it. When you press the right mouse button.
Don't talk about selections, because then you'll use all three of them in all kind of combinations.
Modifiers.
To modify. But I think this is one. Most of the people we have that are not used to GIMP is bashing GIMP because of the right mouse button menu system. And I can say you that when you get used to GIMP and use GIMP a lot, you will find right mouse button one of the best thing, because what you do in Photoshop is that you go up somewhere in the canvas and there is a menu, and you do that a lot and then you get a mouse on. But in GIMP you just press the right mouse button wherever you are and you get all the functions you need. And that's why I don't know any of the shortcuts.
We should add a feature to count the kilometers you drive around with the mouse and compare Photoshop with GIMP.
Alright, so.
Yeah.
Always. Yeah, it's much better.
Can I you're using this is in a production environment, or are you using this for fun? That's a big difference. Yes, you can use both. It's no problem. You can install them in different directories and have them both working. And yeah, follow the development version releases of GIMP. That's a good thing, because it's always nice to feed developers with bug reports, for example, and give feedback about the functions and give feedback about how it works and so on. That's always nice. And it's nice to test all the new functions and learn them and so on. And sometimes you just want to use a new feature, and then you should use the developer version. But if you sit a lot and do image manipulation all day and it's production environment, and you, for example, make a very big image and you don't want it to have it trashed, then it can be ideal to use the stable version, because it is stable. And it's a matter of taste, how much or frill or daily frill. If you want some daily frill, you use the development version. If you want to be on the safe side, you use the the stable version.
What you would say with big chance you have big fun of using the latest.
Yeah, you should probably not use the latest CVS unless you are very curious. Because we are having regular releases like every month, and Josh has promised to do more releases in the future. So you can get a tarball that is supposed to be more stable than a CVS version that can be broken at that time if you're unlucky.
You never knew if you can't know if you can compile the CVS version because it can be in a broken state. But most of the time you can compile the release. There are several releases of development versions. Then
Once that are fresh meat, you
Yeah.
just download it.
Or subscribe to the mailing list and
contribute.
give proposals to our features. This is very appreciated, and bug reports also. I'd like to address all of you.
Otherwise, we have to find out what to do.
By ourselves.
Yeah. And it helps. What definitely helps development of GIMP is feedback from professional designers and artists and so on that uses this for daily work, because they know what they want to do, and they can give you feedback from, oh, this is a bit awkward, this way GIMP works, or that's a nice feature and it shouldn't be that hard to implement or something like that.
Thank you for programming.
I can just tell you one thing, that there will be a second edition of the manual, as I said, and it will be out in September. And there is also a German version that you can buy, and it will be freely downloadable in sometime this autumn, the German version. And there will be a freely downloadable second edition English version also, and the new version is around 1,000 pages, so it's quite big, and there is a lot of information how to attach scanners and tablets, and how to buy a scanner and everything that has to do with image manipulation around GIMP, more or less. It's recommended reading, because it's try to look up features in the manual before you try to use GIMP. Otherwise you can get confused sometimes.
Sure, for sure. And there will be an online help system in 1.2.
Yeah.
Context sensitive.
So when you press have the help system up, and you press a tool, the help file for that tool will get loaded into the help browser. So.
Are you planning to integrate GIMP into GNOME?
No, definitely not. GIMP has to be independent of a session management system, because if it was relying on GNOME, you can't use it on KDE.
Or you can't use it on a Silicon Graphics.
The GNOME people are very interested in integrating it, but we have to figure this out somehow. Probably there will be patches, or we will have to do something, but GIMP will never depend on GNOME.
Optional compile switches are possible, but this will not be the default anyway.
Yeah, these are the plans of the GNOME people that are working on GNOMifying GIMP. And there is some code, but I have not checked it out, and we will definitely not merge it into the main trunk until we can assure that GIMP works without GNOME libs installed.
Sorry.
No chance to understand you. Well, meantime.
Yeah, but there's nothing decided about Corba yet. It's an option, and it's powerful, but
It's too slow to do
Yeah.
graphic manipulation. Yeah.
Too slow for the pixel data itself, except you have a Cobra stream and a network connection like that over there, then you could do it with Cobra, but I don't know if that's possible at all to do it fast enough with Cobra.
Okay, thanks for all the questions.